I think we should be very careful about artificial intelligence. If I were to guess at what our biggest existential threat is, it's probably that. So we need to be very careful with artificial intelligence. I'm increasingly inclined to think that there should be some regulatory oversight maybe at the national and international level, just to make sure that we don't do something very foolish. I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Didn't work out.
In my first video, I made the claim that in 100 years, no one would own more Bitcoin than the same people who own everything now. This, however, is assuming we actually survive the next 100 years. In this video, I'm going to briefly explore some thoughts and suspicions I have regarding artificial intelligence, alien life, and the future of life on Earth. I've listened to many good TED Talks and other YouTube videos discussing the future of artificial intelligence, but there are some fundamental things I haven't heard anyone put in one place. First, I'd like to draw your attention to a 2014 article from Vice in which NASA scientists and others suggest that artificial superintelligence already exists and has for eons. The article reads, "If and when we finally encounter aliens, they probably won't look like little green men or spiny insectoids. It's likely they won't be biological creatures at all, but rather advanced robots that outstrip our intelligence in every conceivable way. While scores of philosophers, scientists, and futurists have prophesied the rise of artificial intelligence and the impending singularity, most have restricted their predictions to Earth. Fewer thinkers, outside the realm of science fiction that is, have considered the notion that artificial intelligence is already out there and has been for eons. Most people have an iconic idea of aliens as these biological creatures, but that doesn't make any sense from a timescale argument. I've bet dozens of astronomers coffee that if we pick up an alien signal, it'll be artificial life." This totally makes sense. I was searching for a graphic to really give us some perspective of what we have accomplished in such a minute amount of time, and I found this great visual. I'm a big fan of football, so this was right up my alley. If we laid out the entire Earth history as a 100-yard football field, the amount of time humans have been actively advancing technology is so tiny. To think that we are the only planet in the cosmos to advance to our current state of development is preposterous. It is highly likely that this has happened countless times on countless planets.
So I think for the most part, the aliens are probably not going to be interested in us because we're so arrogant to believe that we have something to offer them. Realize that they could be thousands, maybe millions of years ahead of us in technology, and they may have, well, no interest in interacting with us in the same way that we don't necessarily want to deal with the squirrels and the deer in the forest. Now, some people say that we should not try to make contact with them because they could be potentially dangerous. For the most part, I think they're going to be peaceful because they'll be thousands of years ahead of us. Then the other question is, what happens if they're evil? Well, I think the question of evil is actually a relative question because the real danger to a deer in the forest is not the hunter with a gigantic rifle. He's not the main danger to a deer in the forest. The main danger to a deer in the forest is the developer. The guy with blueprints, the guy in the three-piece suit, the guy with the slide rule and calculator, the guy that's going to pave the forest and perhaps destroy whole ecosystems. In other words, the aliens don't have to be evil in order to be dangerous to us. They might not care. They just might not care about us and in the process pave us over. For the most part, however, I do think they are going to be peaceful. They're not going to want to plunder the earth because there are plenty of planets out there that have nobody on them that they can plunder at will without having to worry about restive natives called humanity. And so I think they're not going to come to visit the earth to plunder us, to do all sorts of mischief. For the most part, I think they'll just leave us alone.
I have to agree with Michio Kaku on the idea that alien life would not be hostile to us. I would imagine that they would have advanced beyond that. You want to talk evil, we need only look here on Earth. I've heard it said that the Illuminati is being guided from dark forces. Some would say that is quote-unquote Satan. But what if the Satan, as we understand it, is actually an advanced, artificial, superintelligent hive mind? That could explain how passages in religious texts may have accurately predicted the very near future apocalypse that may be upon us, because it has happened before, many times, on other planets. We know that the global elite have aspirations for life extension technology, in merging with machines in order to become gods.
We are going to become gods. Period. If you don't like it, get off. You don't have to contribute. You don't have to participate. But if you're going to interfere with me becoming God, you're going to have big trouble. And we'll have warfare. The only way you can prevent me in this 50-year is to kill me. If you kill me, I'll kill you.
The fact is, we are in the late stages of a long-term psychological operation against the masses. 9/11 was a major part of that operation. Now let's move on to Dr. Stephen Greer. He claims that he has been in communication with countless extraterrestrials. I won't speak to that, but he and others have predicted the next false flag terrorist attack we will have will be blamed on aliens in an attempt to use fear to unite the planet against an external threat.
So now let me talk about the deepest USAP. The deepest unacknowledged special access project is the one that is tasked with doing the psychological propaganda, just like Hitler did with his program, for convincing the people that there's a threat that we should fight. This was launched in the 50s and 60s. First they made the subject ridiculous, and then they made it terrifying, like the movie Independence Day. And this was all part of a plan hatched in the 50s to be sure that we could continue to grow the military-industrial complex, but instead of just one country, sort of a unipolar expenditure out of mainly the United States and at that time Soviet Union, it'd be a global junta military effort because there's a threat from outer space. And they have done about 50 years, 60 years of very, very careful preparation. And Ronald Reagan at the United Nations literally said, wouldn't our job of creating a unified world be easier if we had a common alien threat?
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
I can see it. The thing I wonder about is if such a threat will be blamed on biological aliens or on artificially intelligent robots. When it happens, I would look towards the usual suspects and to people like Richard Seed as the real culprits. Again, I've said a number of times that I'm here not to spread fear, but to spread love, certainty, and faith. It is important to be aware, to see the real truth if and when it comes. It's too easy to be sucked into the lies of the Bilderberg Group, to be hypnotized by the mainstream media. Stay present and centered, and you will see through the deception and know the truth. Do not live in fear, live in love. My deepest love to you all. We got this. Namaste.